News reports in the UK and elsewhere are blowing up about the Epstein scandal, bringing down the UK government. It's like pulling on a string, lots and lots are coming out. How come? Is there something smart behind all this? That's what we're going to be talking about. Thank you again. Please like, comment, subscribe, and give us a thumbs up. And you'll find all the links for the guests in the description below. Hey, Tom. Hey, Alex. Thank you so much for making yourselves available.
Hey, man. Hi, Alex.
Good to join you again. Hi, Tom. How, Rich?
It's been way too long since I talked, Alex. So good to see you, man.
Yes,
Great to see you too.
Yes, you too. We've been doing this for years, right? So, Tom, take it away, right? I'm sure you know what's happening in the UK with regards to Mandelson and Epstein and Starmer.
Yeah. Right. Well, it was me that suggested this topic. So I just think that I haven't had a chance to talk to Alex about it and run my argument by him. But I'm looking at this release of all the Epstein stuff, and it seems to me like the timing on this is really interesting. That for months, Donald Trump was like, "Hey, let's just put this Epstein thing to bed. Let's just deal with this." And the noise around that has been, well, that's because Trump is a pedo and he's in the Epstein files and blah 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 blah. I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. It makes more sense that he was using it strategically, as a form of leverage or whatever you want to call it, right? And now that he's gone to Davos and told them globalism has failed, and he's gone to the king, and the king rejected his terms of surrender, and he's done this, and I just think that he tried to avoid as much bloodshed as possible. In my mind, that he's kind of gave them all the Putin offer of, hey, look, y'all get to keep the money you've stolen, or at least most of it. Stay out of politics. Let's end this thing with as little bloodshed, metaphorically speaking, as possible, and let us move on. And if you stay out of politics and let us remake the world, we won't let the world know just how terrible you truly are. And they all said no. So he's like, all right, unleash the Epstein files. And then we get to find out just how terrible they all truly are. And now we're starting to see the fallout from that. That's like my initial take on this. And that's what it looks like. I don't know what you guys think one way or the other, but that's been kind of my operating principle for all week long. Alex, I'd love to get your take on that.
I just before, could you elaborate on what you said, that the king rejected his offer? What do you know about that?
I think it's pretty obvious that when he went to visit the king last summer, right, or last fall, that he went there. I always went in with the idea that he was going to offer the king some kind of terms of surrender, or hey, we're gonna do this differently. And I know that EM Burlingame and I don't quite see eye to eye on that. That he said, EM thinks that no, he was trying to negotiate a way out for the king. The king can't say yes to Trump's terms because he's captured. That's a nice way of looking at it. I'm not going to give Charles that benefit of the doubt. And so since then, like right after he came out, after he went to London, that's when the Epstein thing really hit another crescendo. That's when they shut down the government. That's when they went on their tirade about stopping the one big beautiful bill, the continuing resolution that got us to where we are today, and all of that stuff. And to me, it just looked like they were, saying no to his effectively terms of surrender is the term I'm using. That may be overstating it, but that's
because the resignation of the Peter Mandelson, the Prince of Darkness, came in October, no? From not resignation. Keir Starmer had to recall him, had to fire him as ambassador to the United States.
Yes, that was after
so
Trump's
that kind
visit.
of makes sense. That actually makes sense. Yeah, I would agree with you, Tom, that there's nothing incriminating against Trump in Epstein files. The reason why I always believe that is because if there was anything, they would have already crucified him about it. Because they've tried everything practically for 8 years. They tried everything to put him to prison. They tried to destroy him, not just politically, but destroy him in every way they could.
Yep.
And if there was something, they had the Epstein files. They had them. they didn't pull the trigger on anything because it probably wouldn't have gotten very far.
Mm-hmm.
So whatever is there, obviously, Trump knew Epstein. Obviously, they had some kind of a relationship. But also, obviously, Trump ended up kicking him out from Mar-a-Lago.
Mm-hmm.
So that makes Trump and Putin the only two statesmen that we know of that snubbed him.
And also, there was the Attorney General, I think, or a prosecuting attorney in Florida, who said that I don't know when this was. You might have a better idea, Tom. Who, when Epstein was being prosecuted first time round, said that Trump was the only celebrity who came forward with information.
Yeah,
that
would be Alex Acosta. Yeah,
but that's it. I'll give you any.
Yeah.
I'll take as much time as you need. I'll tell you everything I know. He was the only one.
Yeah, and then there's also, well, shit. Now I forgot what I was going to say.
What happened there?
You know what happened, Rich?
What happened there, Tom?
Oh, Keir Starmer decided that we were talking about verboten things, and therefore they cut you off.
We were spreading hate speech, and it might get some people upset.
Oh my God.
Yes.
We can't have
us.
Perish the thought. I love all the peoples, Your Honor. I love all the peoples.
All the peoples.
All the peoples.
The peoples. We love the peoples. Yes,
we love the peoples. All of them.
I guess we'll take it up.
I don't know where we were.
So, the picking up on the Alex Acosta thread, right? That Acosta was part of Trump's first administration. There's that rumor out there that Trump was the one who forwarded all the information that helped, was a key witness against Epstein, getting him arrested the first time. Blah 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 blah. So, the way I'm looking at it now was, this has been a kind of full court press now to try and do it's been nothing but a demoralization campaign that London's been running for months now on people in the United States to try and split apart MAGA and all of this. And so what did we have in one weekend? We had a blow off top in gold and silver. We had an massive attack on Bitcoin that only culminated last night. At the same time as the Epstein files come out, and supposedly this is the end of everything. And then on Monday they let us know that they've started working on Skynet. We went live on Sunday night, and by Friday they were going to the AIs were going to get rid of all of us humans because we don't need them, because they've decided that they've created religions and governments and everything else with the whole Molt book thing. I honestly think all of those things together are just a massive demoralization campaign against people, and to rob us of what's left of our agency in order to make us think that we have no hope. And I'm like, what's next? Locusts? You know what I mean? We breaking the seventh seal on Sunday. Will that be my 58th birthday present? I don't know. It'd be hilarious if it is. If you're gonna open the seventh seal, break the seventh seal, let's get it over and done with, and let's see who has enough guns. Because I'm betting on the Americans here. I don't know about anybody else.
Okay. Let me put my oar in about the Epstein files. One way of looking at it is that it's a sting, which ties in with what you were saying, Tom. That he set it up by saying there's nothing there, there's nothing there, there's nothing there, which would completely wind up his opponents. He sets up with Elon Musk to say that Trump's in the Epstein files, which is true. Trump is in the Epstein files. So is Elon Musk. So, by the way, is Imran Khan, because Epstein thought that he was a threat, considered him a threat, didn't like him, and said as much. Therefore, Imran Khan is in the Epstein files, right? So then the mainstream media gets crazy, release the files. No, and I think Trump's just rubbing it in. No, there's nothing there. There's nothing there. Does that whole thing with these influencers, complete sham, which exposes them. They're not reliable, and then it eventually comes out, and there's more controversy because it doesn't come out completely, so that people get more and more het up and worked up, because this is what Trump does. He deliberately sets people's hair on fire. He is a massive incendiary device, a global.
This is why I don't have any
device. That's right.
This is why I don't have any hair left. Like, you know what I mean?
I have a fire extinguisher nearby.
And I got two more names I want to put into the Epstein files. Ready?
Right.
And this was the tell for me. Steve Bannon and Jerome Powell.
Oh, I didn't know.
Steve Bannon complaining to Jeffrey Epstein in 2018 that they need to get rid of Jerome Powell. That was the tell for me. That was the tell.
Say more.
Why? Because why would Epstein want to get rid of Jerome Powell? Because by that point, SOFR had become the pilot project. They needed to get rid of him. They knew it was going to happen when Powell got back into office for the second term. So they needed to get rid of Powell because Powell was starting the process of dismantling the LIBOR reserve standard, right? Not the dollar reserve standard, the LIBOR-based dollar reserve standard. And going all the way back to all my ramblings about the 5 basis points to change that saved the world, all that stuff. All that gets tied right back to bingo. Oh, look, Steve Bannon and Jeffrey Epstein needed to get rid of Donald Trump. I got something else I want to run by you too, because I've been thinking about this for the last couple of days. You have the British and the Europeans who are constantly screaming Russia, Russia, Russia. Right? The Russians are the enemy. The United States needs to help us go to war against the Russians, blah, 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 blah. On the American side of the coin, in the quote unquote MAGA movement, we have the Steve Bannon wing of the Republican MAGA movement saying, no, it's not Russia, it's China. Well, if you want to capture all of those conservatives and all of those people in the center that are looking at the Russians going, but they're not our enemy, you've got to give them a convenient enemy to point them towards. And that's been Bannon's role in this intelligence operation for the last 10 years, if not longer. Right? And the whole way, that whole Bannon wing of the Republican Party and of the MAGA, of the quote unquote fake MAGA space has been the case. Because if Russians aren't the enemy, it's clearly the Chinese. And they've been trying to play that game for God knows how long now. And Trump, of course, is like, I can kind of deal with both of them.
Yes.
And why do you think? And so, why was one day see Bannon, secret agent man within the Trump 1.0 administration, and then by Friday he was gone with no reason as to why? We still don't know what actually prompted Steve Bannon's ouster from the Trump administration. And it was played that, we'll get rid of Bannon, and then that's because Trump's administration is falling apart and he doesn't know what's going on. Well, no, he just got rid of a traitor. Bannon did something in Trump's presence when he was a member of the administration that tipped Trump off that he wasn't loyal to him, and he got rid of him.
Yeah. And
then Bannon's been on the outside trying to corral he's been the Pied Piper to corral all of the people in Trump's orbit that don't believe the Russia hoax, but now they need to believe the Chinese threat. And either way, the British are like, I don't give a shit who the Americans go to war with, as long as they go to war with somebody to destroy themselves.
That's right. They just want war. They're not fussed about who wins. Just war. As long as they have war.
That's been my read of, because I don't know if you guys remember, about 2 months ago, I finally just said Steve Bannon, City of London.
You did. Tom,
yeah, and Tom, now we have the.
Tom, you are the true Promethean. So many times, the true Promethean. Not that pretender Susan Kokinder, who's going to be with us next week, by the way.
She's fucking amazing. Susan's amazing. God, oh my God, the podcast we did the other day. I wish you had.
I listened to it.
We originally I had sent out the email to Alex and Susan. I wanted to do a 3-way on the podcast, and we just couldn't make the schedules mix. And I'm sorry, Alex, that you're of us trying to.
Okay. That's fine. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. You and I absolutely need to do another one-on-one or whatever.
No, don't worry. You don't need to explain, Tom. I'm very used to rejection.
He's very used to crying himself to sleep at night, aren't you, Alex? As you listen to my podcast to fall asleep, isn't that right, Alex?
Yes. No, your podcasts have improved a little bit over time.
Well, that would be because of Susan Kokinder, and she'll be on with us next week.
Oh my! No. This one's good. This is a lot of fun.
So, Alex, back to the top.
Hey, it's promotion. It's promotion. You're going to be able to cut little promotional pieces out of this footage.
As I like to say, the comedy
is going to skyrocket.
That's right. They've improved a little bit.
The comedy's not good, but it is free. So go.
Yeah, no, but on a serious note, Tom, like I find myself listening to Rich's podcasts more and more because they're very good. They're getting better, and a lot of other people, I'm kind of, I start listening to it, and it's like, oh God, they just don't get it, and I switch and I try to find something sensible, and then I always end up listening to something.
Thank you, Alex. You guys are going to love Vladimir Brovnik. You're going to love Vladimir Brovnik.
So it's interesting. I started calling us the intellectual dork web. That would be like me, you, Susan, Ian Burlingame, Blaine Holt, Rich, and it's hilarious because but it's true. I do the same thing, and I'll be honest with you. Like Tommy Kerrigan's podcast with people who are near us as well are also been very good. Tommy's been killing it. I've done a couple of podcasts with a guy by the name of Mike Ariza about the situation in oil, the oil production situation in the West Coast of the United States, and how important that is from a national security perspective. Been crazy. Like Mike just blew my freaking mind. Just blew my mind about the oil flow and how much, why they're shutting down refineries and what that means for national security and the Civil War potential and everything else. Again, so
Tom, they're doing the equivalent in all WEF captured nations, but I want to bring it back to Epstein, right? So, sure, Alex, given what Tom has said, that how Trump has played this, anything you want to say about this?
Well, I've been suspecting as much myself, because I've also wondered, whether this silly hostility between Trump and Thomas Massie wasn't theater as well. Like also the hostility between Trump and Elon Musk. Well, that's not hostility anymore, but there was a point in time when Elon Musk demonstratively dropped out of the White House, and then they exchanged some jabs, and then Elon Musk has been insinuating that there's something rotten about Trump in the Epstein files, and lo and behold, now we have the Epstein file, at least half of them. And I wonder if the other half isn't going to have 9/11 details.
Ooh, very good, very good, very good point. What I will say about Massie, unfortunately, is that I don't agree with you. He's still playing the games in Congress. I'm watching all of his votes very carefully. He tried to torch the continuing resolution. The latest continuing resolution that would have moved the SAVE Act forward and all of this stuff that now has put John Thune's nuts in a vice.
Do you think that's real? Okay.
I think it's very real. Unfortunately, I think the whole Kentucky contingent, Rand Paul, Thomas Massie, Mitch McConnell, I think it's all real. Because Trump wouldn't be running a guy against Massie like he is if it wasn't real. Maybe the Rand Paul thing is not as real, but then again, Rand Paul's not up for re-election this time, so it doesn't matter. Like Trump doesn't waste political capital on stuff that doesn't matter. And again, we could have people in the room go, "He wastes political capital, all this bullshit all the time." Like, yeah, no, sorry, he doesn't. Everything he does is very strategic, and I think he's going after Massie. I think the libertarians have all served their usefulness, and he's now proving to them that they're not a viable political force in the United States for change. They're a viable political force to keep City of London in power. That's what I think.
Right. Now, speaking of City of London, so Trump, assuming that Trump has orchestrated this play as an assault on Keir Starmer's government, he's still sort of my understanding, what was trending today is sort of okayed the Chagos deal. And then what I noticed looking through what's trending in the UK on X, how this is, it's like pulling on a string, and there's all this other stuff about Ted Heath, which I've heard about in the past, being a paedophile, Gordon Brown being a paedophile, Leon Britton, former Home Secretary, Gordon Brown, former Prime Minister, being a paedophile, Harriet Harman, a former Labour minister under Keir Starmer, under I don't know which Prime Minister, her being involved with supporting an organization called PI, Paedophile Information Exchange, advocating for how it's a violation of their human rights and the human rights of children, that somehow, as long as children don't seem harmed by paedophilia, then their human rights to engage in sexual activity as their minors is being. It's just insane thinking. But all of that is seeping out, and I wonder the impact that it's going to have on the British polity is complete revulsion and exposure. And I imagine at some point it's going to lead to the Tories, because they're in it as well. Then at the same time, there's the grooming gangs inquiry, the Pakistani rape gangs that Rupert Lowe is funding privately himself. And that's going to be, he's posting regular updates on X. And then the Europeans, I'm sure they're going to get impacted. So we're losing faith with our political leaders in the UK and the European Union. They're all being exposed. Any comments on that, Tom? And then I'll come to you, Alex.
I mean, clearly, and who's being groomed, all puns intended, to be the heir apparent. And that's Nigel Farage, who then comes out and effectively tells me that, hey, tells everybody again that he works for City of London. So it's more meet the new boss, same as the old boss. Nothing has changed. And that's real.
Sorry, Tom. People aren't buying, because he came out and he said that it was a Russian operation. People aren't buying that.
I know. So this is setting the stage wonderfully for my hope and prayer that Trump invites the king over to the July 4th celebration, and at that point, that Charles, when he's clear and in the clear and on safe ground, that he can dissolve Parliament and cause the political revolution that needs to happen. And wouldn't that be? Because we're starting to hear more of those cries, like, it's Charles, it's time for you to step in here. These people and dissolve Parliament. And wouldn't it be the right time for Charles to do that is when he's safe? In the same way that if you believe that Nicolas Maduro was exfiltrated and brought into productive custody to be able to, give the United States the information it needs to effectively fix Venezuela and to get rid of all of the perpetrating in Venezuela, like, hey, let's do the same thing for the UK. And then that would, validate a lot of what Ian Burlingame has said about what's going on in the UK. And, I've told Ian, multiple times, I'm like, happy to be wrong that I don't think that Charles is, I'm happy to, I'd love for Charles to be the, to be the tragic hero here. You know what I mean? I would love for him to do that. I'm okay with that. I just don't think it's going to happen, but it would be nice if it did happen. Alex?
I'm starting to get the impression that something extremely radical is being prepared in the works for the UK. I think a lot of it has to do with these grooming gangs. And if you get into that story, it's absolutely extraordinary. It's being called the greatest peacetime crime in the history of the United Kingdom. But it's been systematically shoved into the memory hole, to the point where, so apparently over 100,000 English girls were targeted. At least 15,000 of them were raped, and not just like raped.
Brutal assault,
serially raped,
horrible,
gruesome, horrible stuff. Passed around, drugged, raped all day.
Yeah,
insane stuff. There's at least 4,000 testimonials. At least 4,000 of them gave testimonies.
Jeez.
And this thing has been covered up at every level of the British system for 20 years, maybe more. And well, that was the grooming part. But then apparently the same people, the same families, were also involved in all kinds of other stuff, like VAT fraud, like insurance fraud, car theft, all kinds of shit, and they were generating a lot of cash. And apparently, not apparently, but certainly, at least 80 million pounds of that cash ended up funding Osama bin Laden when they were looking for him. He was already wanted.
Whoa.
And 80 million pounds of the money collected by these grooming gangs and laundered through British banks was sent over to Abu Dhabi, where Osama bin Laden was already hiding from the Americans who were looking for him. So that makes the United Kingdom a state sponsor of terrorism.
In the eyes of the United States, yeah.
In the eyes of the United States. And so I don't know if you remember, but at during the holiday season 2024, 2025, Elon Musk was firing off all these tweets aimed at not just Keir Starmer, but also Nigel Farage and the whole British establishment.
Yeah, he was.
In general. And then, so let me read you his pinned tweet, which was a poll. And this isn't, at the time I thought he was trolling the Brits. I thought he was just trolling them. But then when I got into the grooming gangs, when I started reading up on that, I realized there's a lot more to this. This is like a real deal. This answers the question why Keir Starmer and his government are as panicked as they are, and why they are so oppressive and with regards to free speech, why they are arresting people for hate speech, why they're so over the top vexed about Islamophobia, because anybody says anything about grooming gangs, you got somebody upset, we have to take you to prison. Okay, hear out Elon Musk's pinned tweet from last year. It was a poll, and the question was, well, it was an affirmation and then yes, no. Quote, America should liberate the people of Britain from their tyrannical government. Yes, no. 2 million people answered, 58 of them said yes.
58%.
58%, yeah, so 58%. And that was over a year ago. I bet you if he ran that poll today, it will be more than 58%. And so I suspect that, because the British establishment has been the big giant parasite, the leech at the side of the United States, but not only. Russia, Japan, the Middle East, Turkey, everybody is the one parasite where that if you quarantined it, I think that 99% of the world's problems would just go away. And so if I were Trump, would it be a crazy thing to do to just freaking take them down altogether, root and branch? And what better way than by releasing these Epstein files so that the whole entire world sees the shocking depravity of these people. And now it's out there. Who's going to fight for them? If Keir Starmer says we have to go fight the Russians, who's going to go?
Right. Oh no, Alex, beautiful. Beautiful.
Totally.
Exactly. No, seriously. Like I wasn't like I can't do this. I can't look into this stuff directly. Dave Collum does it. You're doing it. Like I can't do it. So I didn't know any of this until you just like a lot of the stuff, the details like this you just said until you just mentioned them to me. So I'm listening to this and integrating this in real time. And your final conclusion about what Trump why he would use this stuff this way strategically is spot on, because the goal is how do you get these people? How do you get the average person to not fight for their establishment, right?
Yeah.
And what is he trying to do in the United States simultaneously when he's dealing with insurrection in places like Minnesota and other places? He's trying to thread the needle to allow the civilian process, not military, the civilian process, even though he's got the right. He's got legal statute. He could have invoked the Insurrection Act and done all of it and brought the military in, cleaned up Minneapolis, and he didn't do so. What he did was he allowed the existing civilian network, the institutions, to right themselves and deal with the problem. And is it dealing? Are they dealing with it cleanly? No, but they're dealing with it so that there's a strengthening of the civilian institutions at a time of maximal weakness. And everybody who's out there screaming, "Just invoke the Insurrection Act, just wipe this," they're all part of. They're now, whether they realize it or not, they're carrying water for the very people who are looking to create chaos domestically within the United States to shift the focus away from what's going on here. It's a subtle bit of maneuvering on Trump's part, but it's very, very smart and very strategic if Alex is correct, which I think he is. So,
and imagine the legacy. Insane.
It truly, and by the time we get to July 4th, it will be overwhelming that this is what we need to do as people, both as to help. What have I been saying for months? Don't worry, Canada, we're coming for you. We're going to liberate you. Don't worry, Australia, we're coming. We're going to liberate you. Don't worry, UK, Ireland, Scotland, we're coming to liberate you. When Trump hosted last year, he made Keir Starmer get off of Trump's military helicopter to go visit Trump at his castle in Scotland. And Ursula von der Leyen, that was your tell that this is we all said this. We had multiple conversations, you and I, Alex. I know we did, about how important that was.
Yeah.
Now look at where we are 6 months later.
Yeah.
Wow.
And Trump has to do this, one, for his own personal and political survival, but also as part of his campaign to get the United States out from under the heel of the City of London. And in such a way that the United States and the rest of the world are freed from their venal parasitism. Right.
This is, Rich, absolutely. The point here is that we are going to win the war of the two systems of government, to throw it right back to Alex's talking point.
Yeah.
We have to prove to everyone that we, the people, have the power, and we, the people, have decided this is the way we're going to organize and not have the parasitic oligarch class run the world for us. That is not the way this is going to work. And this is, again, Alex and I have been saying different versions of this for a long, long time now. And you're starting to see it all come together. So this is what we should be fighting for, folks. We should want this to occur. We should be arguing in favor of all of this. And we should not worry and, bite the pillow and wet the bed if every once in a while he makes a small mistake, or, you remember, as Blaine Holt likes to say, the enemy gets a vote. They're going to win some battles. They're going to win some skirmishes.
Yep.
I look at everything that's happening right now. As I've been studying, you guys know, I've been like ass deep in my patent mode for a while now. I'm like, this is the Battle of the Bulge. This is the German winter offensive, the last chance for Davos / City of London to try and win the war. And they're pushing, and it's domestic, domestic unrest and insurrection in the United States is their last attempt. Because if we ring fence this and we survive it, then they get crushed. And from a financial market perspective, the win is going to be whether or not Trump's tariffs are upheld by the Supreme Court. Because at that point, that will be the last hope of anybody still sitting there going, where do I put my money? Do I put it in the United States? But the United States is a mess. No. But the tariffs are happening. And I think every week that the SCOTUS does not adjudicate on this, they are just looking for some legal way to walk the fine line to give Trump what he wants. They're not happy about what he did. I can tell you that flat out. They're not happy with what he did. But I don't think legally they're just looking for a way to say, okay, but you can only do this. You know what I mean? And then you did this, but you can't go any farther than this. They're gonna write some weird legal fiction or some weird legal thing. They're gonna allow them to stand, and then it's going to move forward. And then once that happens, like your average, fund manager in France or Belgium or the UK that's sitting there on their money going, allowing Christine Lagarde to like freeze everything in amber, like we're watching bond spreads and, stock markets and all this stuff. It's just been sitting there frozen for like days now, and it won't move. None of these things will budge, right?
Tom,
and you're like, oh.
Tom, we could have a separate conversation about that because I want to bring Alex in. Yeah. So, Alex, anything you want to say about what Thomas said?
Well, no, but I wanted to throw in something fun into this conversation.
Oh no, Alex,
because
please.
I like fun. Lot of people.
I like fun.
A lot of people are, as they look at what's coming out of these Epstein files with understandable revulsion, they're saying that all these people should be executed, that they should all be put to death. And I just like to say, as a Christian, I'm against death penalty, but I also think that death would be too easy. So I just want to say how I see the appropriate punishment.
Fun.
There are certain things that you enjoy in life, like a good steak, like good food, like the sound of birds singing in the trees, the sunlight on your skin, children laughing,
right,
stuff like that. So I would put them in prison for the rest of their life, so that they stay alive for a long time, and they spend their whole lifetime longing for that juicy steak, but never get it, for that really, really good, satisfying cup of coffee, but only get crap coffee every day.
They get coffee.
Yes. They get Nescafe. They don't get Cafe Bourbon.
Exactly, Nescafe, lukewarm with non-fat milk.
Soy milk.
No.
Soy milk, Alex.
Soy milk.
Soy milk or
almond milk.
Or the coffee mate stuff that's made out of hydrogenated vegetable oil and that stuff. Yeah, so unflavored too, by the way.
So that they spend the whole rest of their life longing for the good stuff and never get it.
Moreover, they get to watch us eat the good steak, have the good coffee, rebuild the world, and they get to watch. And this is when I agree, and we should have television sets.
Yeah,
we should pay in their cells so they can just sit there and watch.
Okay, no. Stop. What people should do. So I just want to go back a couple of things.
Thank you, Alex.
So Susan Gokinder did a great exposition on the American system, political economy on a podcast with Sean Newman. And Sean Newman is coming on next week to talk about what's happening in Canada on this channel. Then also, I did a video with Ben Dennison, who's the president of Promethean Action. And in about half an hour, he went through the American system of political economy. And if people want to know what it looks like in real life, I did a video on Ibrahim Traore and what he's putting in place in Burkina Faso, which is the American system of political economy in action, because he was inspired by Thomas Sankara, and Thomas Sankara learned it from a Larouchian in France. So it's all coming together. So really what people should do is subscribe, comment, like. Alex and Tom will be back in many, many different guises. And thank you both, gentlemen, and thank you everybody for watching. All the best. Bye-bye.
Yeah.